Hello, welcome back to Story Reckless. I'm just double checking that my mic is on because a little while ago my mic was off. But I am Nathan and I'm the DM here, and thank you for joining us this evening. I use he, him pronouns, and we're going to be playing some D&D in Descent into Avernus. We're back. We're back from Stardew. So if you happen to catch us playing Stardew and now you're watching us play D&D, then welcome. Let's do some player intros.
I'm Claire. My pronouns are they, them. Back to playing Kadam, half-elf grave cleric, werebore, minor celestial. Maybe.
My name is Olive. I am here. My old laptop is in the shop, so I am on a backup laptop, which is flying slightly sideways. We're doing great. I'm playing Calliope, a Air Genasi old lady who's always right about everything. And I don't know if that will be relevant, but if there's ever a disagreement, Calliope is always right. So just keep that in mind.
Hi, I'm Enya, they, them pronouns, and I'm playing Pip, an alchemist satyr who is hoping to be over and done with everything now.
Oh, I usually have pronouns. It's been a while. It's been like a month. I'm out of practice.
I know.
Don't judge me.
It
Don't
has
judge
been a
me.
while. We were farming. It was nice and relaxing.
Spent a lot of time in the mines.
We did.
It's true. It was, yeah. Oh, what it would be to be back there. Anyway, so let's, I guess, do a recap and jump straight into this and see what happens. Let me switch over a little music and then we can do a recap. So, oh my god, what was last time anyways? Last time you all had just finished kind of infiltrating
Bamboozling?
infiltrating this Stygian watchtower. One of the watchtowers along the river Styx. You were informed that it was holding captive a powerful demon that likely had gathered the information on where the Infernal Archive was and where the contract that you are seeking is located within the Infernal Archive. Upon infiltrating into this tower, you worked your way through, eventually getting to the Arcanoloth that was in charge, and managed to strike up somewhat of a deal that you were going to help get information from this Cibriex, was the name of the demon, the type of demon. But Kadam, as you walked up to talk to the demon, you placed a hand on the Arcanoloth and cast Banishment, sending the Arcanoloth away. But just before this, the Arcanoloth told the two guards that were there to play along with whatever happened. So they did, very hesitantly, but they followed suit. And you managed to convince them to leave the room for a time and spoke with this Cibriex, getting the information as to where the contract is stored within the archive. You received some sort of number system that the devils seem to use for sorting their contracts. And there was a slight disagreement on which number exactly it was between Calliope and Kadam. Both numbers were very close to each other. So who knows? Maybe if the archive is laid out in such a way that those tend to be next to each other, then maybe it won't be a big deal. I guess we'll find out. But upon getting this information, you set the Cibriex free just as the guards were coming up to check in on what was happening, and you all busted out of the tower, fleeing away from the Cibriex as it started to wreak havoc on the devils within. And it slowly, like a horrendous blimp, rose up from the top of the tower, this bobbing sack of flesh just floating above the tower. And it attempted to, I believe, grab Valor as you were fleeing, as Valor was the slowest among you. And it cast a feeble mind, or something akin to a feeble mind spell on Valor. And Valor failed, but thankfully, Kadam, you were able to pull her away and cure her of this ailment rather quickly as you all piled into the infernal war machines. And this is where we left off, with all of you in the war machines barreling away from the tower, seeing havoc being unleashed upon the tower. As you're driving away through the dust, away from the river and the tower, you can start to see some of the other towers far off in the distance, little specks starting to rise up from the tops of those towers and making their way towards the floating blob that is above the tower you just fled. But this is where we're going to pick up. So you're all in the war machines driving away across the wasteland. What are you all up to in this moment as we pick up?
Sitting on my butt, leaning back. I'm wiped.
Okay.
It's been a minute since I've done this voice. All right, we're working back in there.
Yeah. I believe typically Calliope and Pip are in the Demon Grinder, and Kadam, you're in the Tormentor with Valor and Sad Boy.
Yep.
Okay. And then Lulu seems to kind of, I think, jump between the two, but is usually, I think, in the Tormentor. So, yeah. Do any of you want to do anything or like, yeah, what's your plan here? What are you all planning to do as you're driving away?
I think Calliope's still coming down off of the adrenaline of it, being like, "Yeah, that went great. Oh my god, did you see when we put that seal on and we just popped out? He never popped out of a tower like that before. Just like in the stories."
Pip is injecting herself with something to stay awake, I think, and is riding the adrenaline as well. It's just yeah, just like in the stories. We're gonna go straight away to the 9th column, and we're gonna be done. We're gonna be through with all of this.
We're out of here. We're basically out of here.
Pretty much. We may as well just. And did you see Kadam back there? The way that they are really leaning into. I was fooled for almost a moment, maybe.
Yeah, they were so confident. They just walked up and pop. There was just an instant. I saw it in his eyes. Just was so surprised. Nothing like that could have ever happened to him. He's somewhere out there in the multiverse. That was quick thinking, by the way, with the featherfall and stuff. And there's a couple times where I think I would have been caught. If you hadn't, that was you, right? That dropped the smelling salts, right? As those dogs were gonna get me.
Look. Sometimes these babies just pop open all on their own. They just know exactly when to open.
Fantastic.
At that moment, Gilder crawls up onto your shoulder, looking towards you, Calliope, and just kind of lets out a little whistle.
And that's the best, because if they got brains, then you don't gotta got brains, and then you can use your brains for other brains.
Gilder kind of talks
yeah. Pip is just staring at Calliope, hands on the wheels, and what is it? The band of intelligence or something?
Yeah, like that. Making it so you got brains, you got my brains, so you can have your brains, so I don't have to have your brains while we think about stuff.
Wait, but Kadam is doing the thing that my brains usually do right now, so where do my brains go?
Maybe we don't need your brains. They'll look a little bit shoddy. I'm kidding.
Just tense silence for the next.
All right. Kadam, are you just hanging out in the Tormentor in Persistence?
Pretty much. Yonder, I don't suppose you saw an imp fly overhead while we were up there?
I know I didn't see anything.
All right.
Are you expecting something?
No, not necessarily. I believe that an imp was dispatched to contact the Infernal Absolution Legion and bring them here. But I don't know. We'll see if anything shows up.
Oh, are we going to stick around and watch
No.
this tower?
Absolutely not.
All right. I didn't think so.
Potentially crossing paths on our way to the archive.
Ah, yes. Well, let's hope that doesn't happen.
That went remarkably well.
It
I feel kind of gross, but it went very well.
It seems that way. And Valor is sort of leaning back, rubbing her head, and smiles at you. I mean, Kadam, that was quite an amazing play you did there. If anything, it kind of reminded me of something that Pip would do. It was, seems like she's rubbing off on you a little bit.
Oh dear. Well, honestly, I was just thinking of Box of Screws, who I suppose you haven't met. But
No, I have not.
she's something else.
Well, maybe I can meet her when we get out of all this.
Maybe. Oh boy. I would want to be a fly on the wall in that conversation.
Well, why couldn't you just be there?
I'm intrigued how she would treat you if she didn't know you were associated with me.
We could probably arrange that.
I like the sound of that.
I think Calliope has the ability to turn invisible. She could probably do the same to you.
Probably.
And then you could be your fly.
Oh, Valor. I have yet to be able to pull one over on Box of Screws. We'll see if it works.
Your what? Alright. You can have your secrets.
I'm so glad. You know, I never asked who you were going to murder. So you can not ask me about my...
Are you talking about when we first met?
You.
I mean, I can tell you now, it's been... we've been through, quite literally been through hell together.
Was it Thavius Creek?
No, it was not.
No, alright.
I'm going to have to dig through the recesses of my mind to find exactly who I was planning on killing. If you're very interested.
It's been quite a while, I know, and a lot has happened.
Yes, it's somewhere in here. Somewhere. I have no idea where the hell those notes are. I do have those written down somewhere. So.
I love this as like a road trip guessing game of like who are you gonna murder?
Oh.
Just start listing out names.
I don't know that many Elturellians.
Yeah. Jeez, it was so long ago. We've been through so much. It feels trivial at this point, but there was before all the stuff with the gnolls, there was essentially a series of murders that were happening around Eltugard. So I was hired to investigate and try to find out who was up to this and bring them in. When you met me in Candlekeep, I was doing some research because there was one survivor who had a very vague description, and based on this description, I believe the person that I was looking for was something known as a Githyanki.
Oh.
Very. I hadn't heard of it before I came to Candlekeep, but apparently they sometimes show up around Faerun. But yes, I didn't have any luck in finding this individual. All I knew, based on the survivor's description, is tall, slender, leathery yellow skin. They had black tattoos and sunken eyes. They were like black orbs, but you'd think it would be pretty easy to spot someone like that if they're so rare, but maybe they had some of that magic that you all have to disguise themselves.
Maybe so.
Or maybe it wasn't even them. Who knows? But as I said, feels a bit trivial at this point. But I suppose... You know what would be remarkable is if this individual got dragged down here. But if they were hiding out in Elturel and they're just down here right now, that would be... I mean, I guess that would be lucky for me.
Yeah, you could, take them into whatever vestige of the government remains and
I suppose I
finally
could.
get paid.
Yeah, it's, I have no idea who would even be responsible for that, but...
Me either.
Yes. So, oh, hey, F2, good to see you. Glad you're lurking. So what's the plan here? Sounds like we have the information we need.
Yeah, we go to the archive and then there's a front door and probably something else, according to the Cibriax.
All right. Are we heading there now?
Think so.
She kind of looks out the front window of the vehicle. I'm assuming the demon grinder is up in front leading the way. And as she looks that way, I guess we'll cut back over to the two of you. Are you, Pip, focusing on this archive with the hand?
Yes.
Okay.
Unless you think Calliope, we would have switched at some point.
Nah, Calliope's like, you got this. I'm gonna go take a nap. And these things always take longer than we'd like. So I'm gonna start resting now. And I'll begin a long rest. We'll see to get my one spell slot back.
All right. We'll hold off on the long rest until
Yeah.
I call it. But yeah.
Of course.
Okay. Yeah. So Pip, you focus in on this destination, and the hand starts to twitch and point in a direction. You do feel a familiar presence and hear a voice creep up into your mind as Gargouth sort of whispers into your mind, "Oh, the archive. Would you like a little help getting there?"
Yes, obviously, unless you're being sarcastic.
Oh, I love being sarcastic with you, Pip. It's the most fun I've had in God knows how long.
Hold on, let me just take you out of my bag. It's a little weird talking to you and hearing a muffled in my head.
I mean, I've always talked in your head as if it makes you feel better.
It feels weird. Just know it feels better knowing that there's a physical vessel and that you aren't actually, Anyway, Pip just attaches Gargouth right underneath the hand, so it looks like a compass. There we go.
So you have this giant shield just sitting kind of next to you in the passenger seat, sort of obstructing a good portion of the windshield. And you can see that familiar golden shield with the face on it, and the face is just slowly barely imperceptibly shifting and moving as the voice is creeping in. All right. I'll give you a little hand here in finding your way. All right.
We have a hand. I need something else.
So funny. Yeah, you kind of start to sort of get vague images of what this place looks like, sort of flowing through your mind to help guide you there. You're getting flashes of just a pure white plain of crusted over salt, this massive salt flat that just goes off as far as the eye can see. And far off on the horizon, you can see there is a dark shape that is rising up out of the salt flats like a mountain. There's a couple flashes where you kind of get vague visuals of massive steps leading up to some sort of huge arching doorway, flashes of towers, and flashes of small winged creatures just flitting about this collection of towers like little gnats. Go ahead and roll 2d10 for me. And let me know what each number is individually.
Alrighty. 4 and 5.
Okay, perfect. Now go ahead and roll 2d12.
8 and 8.
So 16. Okay, great. And
I remember last month I cracked the code finally of what these all meant, and now I've completely forgotten.
Well, the D12s are how many hours it takes. I know that.
It's the D10s.
go ahead and roll a d20 for me.
Oh, this is where we end up.
1. Okay, great. So
Zariel's fortress.
yeah, the wasteland, as usual, starts to roll past you. Dust clouds billowing past. Periodically spatterings of acid rain come down, and lightning storms far in the distance. But the red landscape slowly starts to dissipate, and you can start to see the edge of what looks to be a large salt flat after many, many hours of driving. The drive is going to take you about 16 hours to get there, and you will not be experiencing any hang-ups on your way. So do any of you wish to do anything in this time as you are driving across the wastes?
Take a long rest. I'd also like to pull out the sword
Oh yeah.
and meditate with it. Meditate on it.
Yeah. Absolutely. You do this as you probably, I'm assuming you're doing this after finishing your long rest,
Mhm.
pulling out the sword. And you spend probably the remaining time, so probably about like 6 hours of the rest of the journey just focusing in on the sword. The only people in the car with you, or in the war machine with you, are Valor and Yonder, and we'll say Lulu's with you. It is very slow and almost imperceptible, and I'm not even certain that you necessarily notice it, Kadam. But over a period of the 6 hours, the blade itself begins to change. How do you imagine you're kind of sitting with it? Are you like kneeling or cross-legged or?
I'll probably start out cross-legged, but I ain't sitting cross-legged for 6 hours.
Mm-hmm.
At various points, I think I like get up and move around, like lie down with it, almost like cuddling it, sort of. spend a long time examining the hilt and the blade and just like trying to
Yeah.
like emotionally reaching out as well. Because I know that this thing is sentient, it just don't speak.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to get a feel for who this is and what it wants.
I mean, focusing in on it for this amount of time, when you focus with it, you do feel this sort of, I don't know, air of confidence that sort of comes over you, seemingly from nowhere. It's hard to place like why you kind of feel this sense, other than it's likely coming from the sword. And probably about halfway through, as you're inspecting it, you realize that the hilt seems significantly longer than you remembered, and the blade seems to have actually shrunk a tad. And you're kind of examining it, and you can see like all the familiar like engravings on it and the same patterns that you've seen before, but the actual dimensions of this thing seem to have shifted. And as you start spending the last few hours with it and kind of taking time to focus in, you kind of close your eyes for a bit as you feel this like wash of emotion sort of coming over you, and this like strength and confidence running through you. And when you look down at it once again, you now see that the hilt, the handle where you grip it, has significantly increased in length, and the blade itself has significantly decreased. And the blade seems to slowly be transforming into what appears to be a spear. By the end of the 6 hours, you feel the sword itself has transformed entirely into a spear.
I can use a spear.
Yes. And by the end of that 6 hours, that you feel like a kind of a stronger sense with this blade, and as you move it around, now it being a spear, the way you move with it, it seems to almost flow with you and guide you as you kind of twirl it around in your hands and feel the balance and weight of it.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you. That's useful and frightening.
You feel kind of a wash of satisfaction.
Mm. All right.
Lulu has sort of been watching you from the corner this whole time and sees you as you say this to the spear. Well, I guess it makes sense. It would shift for the user. How does it feel?
I mean, it feels... I appreciate that it's trying to accommodate me, I guess. I don't hit people very often, Lulu.
Yeah, not with physical things.
No. We'll see. We'll see.
Well, I hope it proves useful. I think where we're going is going to be pretty challenging.
Yeah. I'm just very aware that I'm going to have to give this up at some point.
You think so?
Yeah.
How do you imagine that will happen?
I haven't the foggiest idea. I don't fully trust myself with it, not long term. Remember, I chose this because it was the easy choice to make, Lulu.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Pip, as we cut back over to the demon grinder, the landscape has fully transitioned into just this pure white salt flat. Any sense of topography has completely faded at this point. Looking behind you, you don't even see mountain ranges or anything. It's just this almost eerie white plain that you drive on with the deep red-orange sky above and sort of smoky cloudscape that roils about in Avernus. There are some cracks throughout the salt flat and little ridges of salt and sand that have like risen up, kind of creating this almost interesting geometric pattern of cracks that stretches out as far as you can see before you. There's not terribly much dust that's being kicked up from the vehicles. There's just this, you can barely hear through the cacophonous sound of the engine, this consistent crunching, like as you are like barreling across this landscape. And then you start to see something far off on the distance. At first, it's just a little black speck. And it stands out because it is the only harsh, dark shape that you've seen in a while. And then you watch as it slowly starts to grow in size. This speck starts to rise up and up and up into a spire, and you start to see other spires around it, other columns. It still appears to be miles away, but it's starting to take shape like a mountain, a black tooth rising up out of this white landscape. You can start to see some of the details. It looks like kind of one central column rising far into the sky that then kind of breaks up into what looks like maybe 3, maybe 6 points. It's hard to tell. And clustered all around the base of it are these columns of black stone, almost tower-like. They all look to be pretty geometric in their shape, almost like hexagons that have been sort of interlocked with each other in these like rocky column formations. But this is the only thing you see for miles, and it is starting to get closer as you drive towards it. How close are you going to bring everybody here as you are approaching this object in the distance?
I will say probably Calliope is driving at this point. We've probably swapped off during 16 hours. Like Calliope got her rest, and then
I'll take it.
Yeah. Okay. So whoop, this would all be Calliope then seeing this. Yeah. So Calliope, how close do you want to bring the party here as you are approaching this thing?
How close? I think probably a similar distance away as we were for the tower that we just bamboozled.
Okay.
I know there's no hiding spot in a salt flat.
Yeah, it is.
They're gonna see us coming. But like pretty close, I think, until like it feels like there's any sort of like we're invading its personal space.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it's like as you're approaching it, if you want to get that close, you start to realize this thing is massive. Here, I'm going to send us all over to a visual so that we can sort of get a sense of what we're working with here.
Ooh.
So, as you're driving up, you see this structure, and it just dominates the horizon. So you're probably a good. I'm trying to think on like a flat horizon. I think normally you can see up to like, is it like 5 miles or something like that? When you're raised up a little bit. So yeah, I mean, within like, 5 miles of this thing is when you actually start to see the base of it, and you're realizing that it is like towering above you, probably approaching, like 2 miles high or something insane like that. It is massive. And as you're starting to get to this distance, still a good ways out, is when you can barely imperceptibly see these like wisps and clouds all around the tops of the towers, and you see these little like streams of what look like wispy smoke of stuff just kind of emanating out from the tops of all the towers. The structure itself, you know what? Yeah, like Lord Business Tower in the Lego Movie. Yeah. Calliope, why don't you make a perception roll for me as you're driving up towards this thing?
It's going to be a +6.
Yeah, it's like Lord Business Tower and Baradur and all the big scary bad guy towers,
23.
Nice. Yeah, so I think as well, since you're an artificer, you can kind of like start to piece together the way this thing is set, like sort of designed. It looks to be, there is one kind of central column that sort of splits into different pieces, and everything looks to be built around a hexagon. So the central column looks to be a massive hexagon that then kind of breaks up into 6 separate spires. And then clustered around the base of that central hexagon are these smaller hexagonal columns that sort of like a tiered cake go up towards the base of the main tower itself. And it looks like at each point of the hexagon, there is some kind of what you would assume is some kind of entrance. There looks to be these like massive kind of almost archways of some kind, and you can barely make out what they look like. They might be like steps, but like, monumentally large, like temple steps, like leading up towards the entrance of this thing on all 6 sides of it. And again, I'll give you, you can keep approaching it if you want, but you're essentially at the point where it's like you can see the base of it, but it's still a good distance away. And you're welcome to continue.
I think I'll pop up to a stop and like sit out on the back of the demon grinder. Be like, well, okay, circle up. What's the plan?
Okay. Yeah.
No illusions this time. The Cerebrick said, so do we just waltz right in?
Did you see any kind of obvious numbering system? What were there? Are there 9 columns?
Yeah, actually, are there?
Yes, so it looks like there are 9 columns per side of the hexagon. So there are 6 sides and 9 columns per each of those sides. You know what? I'm going to bring you to a top-down map because with that 23, I'd say, Calliope, you're able to kind of parse out what the structure of this thing is.
Standard fractal hex architectural pattern, of course.
So yeah, it looks to be that there are these like 6 entrances that are kind of jutting out from these big like archway things, and then there are these 6, yes, exactly, columnar basalt. It is exactly that, but more designed, right? It does indeed look like columnar basalt, which is a geological pattern you can find in nature. That is very much what this was inspired by, because I was looking at pictures of it and I was like, that's so cool.
It is the best rock.
Yeah, super cool. So yeah, there's the central column in the middle there that's itself subdivided into 6 sort of points. And then there's the 6 sections that have 9 columns within each of those sections. So
Okay. So we were told to go to the 613th floor of the 9th column.
Looks like there are a lot of
6
ninth columns.
Yeah, there's 6 9 columns.
I think again Calliope went to like draw this out on the chalkboard. It's like, sir dummy, you're better at some things, but I missed that chalkboard. Okay, scratching in the dirt it is.
Well, here, I'll pull out my probably faded copy of Baldur's Mouth now. Here, paper.
oh, it's the newspaper from Baldur's Gate.
It's paper that I
Okay.
have a single copy of.
Okay, so
All right.
faded paper, faded newspaper.
Gets out some charcoal and starts sketching this out. Okay, so in order for there to be a 9th, there needs to be a 1st. And we just count out from there? I don't see an obvious 1st, though.
Yeah.
No,
I'll
big
give you
sucker there in the middle.
I'll give you another detail here. So for each section, here, I'm just gonna kind of mark up the map so you all can see. So like if this is a section here, starting from the left, the columns start, this column on the far left here on the bottom is the shortest, and then they kind of ascend up from left to right, going all the way up.
All right.
So like this here to the right would be the tallest, and then if you go to the next section, you know, this is the tallest, this is the shortest.
All right.
Do the columns in each section have a different like maximum height?
No, they all seem to be like this. Again, this is like very orderly, right? They're all like in each section, they're all maximum height. I see what you're saying. Yeah, so for the
Like, do they
for the
keep
bottom
getting
row,
taller?
yeah, exactly. So for the bottom row here, this one is shorter than this one, right? So they're kind of ascending, like as the here. I'll
Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying.
if you look at the side view, you
Got
can
it.
kind of see
So each section gets higher and higher.
like that.
What Space Knight does. Okay, so I think the 9th with the section with that starts with the shortest column. That sound good? Section starts with this. So there's 6 sections. One of them has the shortest column of all. I'm going to call that number 0.
Oh, sorry. One more clarification.
Yes.
Sorry to make it more confusing. Each of these sections here are identical in their height. Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you'll there you know, there might be, again, you're pretty far at this point. There might be more details if you were to get closer, or if you had some way of, you know, enhancing your vision or something to see more detail. But the only other distinguishing thing that you see that as you're kind of parsing this out is that the central column here, this one here is the tallest spire, and then again it goes down to the lowest spire here. So that's the only other like difference that you're seeing in architecture.
So one thing that Sarah Brooks said is that there's 81 columns, and I count 54 of these small ones.
That was
And
that
then
was
60
that was probably an oversight on my part. Sorry.
There's 60 columns total.
So just ignore the 81. Sorry.
The rest of the columns are underground, Calliope.
There's 41 columns missing.
ignore that. Sorry.
We need to find. Those are the true starter ones. Okay, everyone start digging.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, one primary entrance with all these columns. And we can get in through the roof of the columns, and there may be secondary entrances.
So we just gotta find which section is the first one.
The first one?
Yeah. First
What
section.
Why first?
We gotta find column 0 to count up
Why?
to find the 9th.
Well, I think we should start at 1, not 0.
Okay,
And I think that we have found all of the 9th columns, right? They're the tallest. I mean, devils being so fond of hierarchies as they are, I think that that's pretty straightforward.
Yeah, but so that we need to narrow it down to one of those 6.
Right.
Yes. Great.
Well, Gargouth, do you know which one of the 6 it is that we're looking for? I mean, you know the Dewey Decimal System we got.
Oh, I always hated that system. What are you're looking for the contract to El Terrell? I do remember some things, but, you know, I could use something from you if we're gonna be doing this.
I'm entertaining your request.
Let's see here.
Even though I don't think you'll be useful.
Here we go. If the pit fiend that is in charge here is still in charge, I wouldn't mind if you just arranged a little meeting between the two of us.
Yeah, what do I care? Sure.
Really? Oh, good.
If we have time. If it's still standing. If he's still alive. I don't know. A lot can happen.
We should make this a little more official, don't you think?
This is not worth it. It's not worth. No, there's nothing you can give me for it. No, I'm not going to make it official. I don't have time for this right now. You guys are going to give me just.
All right.
What kind of demons are
Figure
coming
it out
in?
yourself. Good luck. All right.
I can cast locate object. I might be able to cast locate object on the serial number that we're looking for.
Seems
Like,
good.
if it's on a plaque somewhere.
What's the range on that sucker?
1,000 feet. We would, that's like a, step 2 or 3 sort of a thing.
Let's just get closer then. I think. Before I forget, I made up another little thing. So we know illusions don't work. We also know that it's probably not a good idea to, be like this in, such a place. And I was thinking about it, and I was thinking about brains and passing brains around and hiding brains. Here, take this. I pass you the little super polished brass ring that I got from Traxador before we all got passed down here. I've done a little security on it. Nobody will be able to tell your alignment and whatnot. As long as you don't look too holy. Oh, okay. Well, there's an angel in charge of this level of hell. It happens. They won't be able to tell officially. There might be not any automatic detectors. Mind shielding.
I will frown the whole time.
Yes, very good. And you might hear a little bell chime in your head. That means that somebody's trying to talk to you telepathically, and you have to kind of give it the thumbs up.
I'll let them through.
Calm down. Yeah.
Very cool. So is this a mind shielding ring?
So I have a I have a free artificer infusion slot that has been recently rendered vacant.
Oh, from what? Wait.
From
Oh, from Little Dummy, right? Yes.
and I don't have another Squire crystal to recreate Little Dummy with.
Okay. Okay.
And so I've made a ring of my own shielding, and I'm gonna hand it off to Kadam in order to help. If we can't be like hiding, at least they can't be looking either.
Very cool. Okay. Awesome.
Does this require attunement?
No.
Are you certain?
Oh no! Yes, it does. I just double checked.
Well, I guess we can hang out for an hour while I unattune to the Hat of Disguise and attune to this.
Cool. Yeah. Maybe let's eat some food. It's been a bit. It's been a minute. Oh, also, if you die, your soul will be trapped in the ring. Don't worry about it.
I do not want that.
Okay.
I have to sit with my thoughts for an hour.
When I say trapped, it's like, okay, it'll be safe in the ring, and you can leave whenever you want.
Do I believe her?
I make an insight roll and make either persuasion or deception.
Every time I try to give you a ring, you make a big deal about it.
I have. You have given me bad rings.
I've been giving you nothing but excellent rings.
The fine print.
30-20.
Yeah, Calliope knows what she's talking about. She's always right.
Okay. There you go.
You can remain in the ring or depart to the afterlife, whatever. It's a security feature, so your soul doesn't get sucked out into some sort of vortex and like eaten up into Companion 2.
I will do my best to not die.
Right. But just in case you do, it's fine. It's fine. It'll be fine. Yeah, so you're immune to magic that allows other creatures to read your thoughts, determine whether you are lying, know your alignment, or know your creature type. They can only telepathically communicate with you if you allow it. You can make the ring invisible if you want. It'll be dispelled while we're on the premises. So
Very cool.
that doesn't matter. And if you die while wearing the ring, your soul enters it unless it already houses a soul. It does not. And you can remain in the ring or depart for the afterlife. And as long as your soul is in the ring, you can talk to whoever's wearing it.
Okay.
Become a Tamagotchi.
You become a Gargoyle.
I was gonna say I can
Yeah.
just join Pip's menagerie.
Yeah.
Hello, Kadam, what are you doing here?
All right, I will put that on.
I don't suppose there's anybody we know in the area who we could scry on. That could be helpful at all.
Pit fiend that you just learned?
Yeah.
But he's not going to be in the 9th column.
No, probably not.
So, I keep having this cool spell and then never a chance to actually use it.
What's that?
Scrying.
Oh, yeah, Scrying's great. I don't know anyone to scry on here, though.
Again, on our friends back in El Toral. Duke Ravengard. Petra.
Would
I
that
mean, I guess-
help?
No. I mean, maybe. No. We'll see them. We'll see them in a minute. We'll see them in a minute. It's fine.
Can we get closer and
Sure.
see if we can't see more detail? I don't know. We just don't know which
Sure.
So let's have a
second
meal
to go
first.
to.
Let you attune.
What's that?
Let's have a meal first and let you attune.
Yep. I figured we have done that.
Okay, great.
Well, okay. Where are you doing a short rest? Because you are, a distance away from this thing. But again, you're in a big salt flat, and there's like no cover. You're just sitting out here.
Yep.
giant tower in the distance.
I mean, if they saw us coming, they saw us coming.
Okay. Give
A
me
couple miles out, like 3.
We're just playing red light, green light, I guess.
All right. Cool. So you post up here, probably a good... I'm going to look up really quick. Okay, cool. I'm just going to quick Google search. I'm going to say that horizon is 3 miles out, so we'll say you're about 3 miles from this thing.
Great.
You post up, and you start to take a short rest. Where is everybody? What's like the arrangement here as you all are hanging out?
Inside the demon grinder, I think. All of us, maybe.
All of you inside the demon grinder? Okay.
Trying to make a little cooking stove work.
Okay, great. Yeah. So you hang out as time passes. Do you have anybody like keeping an eye out, or are you all just in the interior of the demon grinder?
Well, we can keep an eye out.
Yeah, let's keep an eye out. I'm a tune-in, but...
All right. Who in the party do you have kind of keeping an eye on things while you're doing this?
I'll keep an eye out.
Okay, great. So Pip, you're sitting probably up front, keeping an eye on that tower while everybody's in the back. The little stove is up and running as Calliope is making some tea or something.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead and make a perception roll for me, Pip.
Perception. Oof, that's only a 12.
Only a 12? Okay.
Is it worth the flash of genius?
I didn't mean to do that. Okay. I'll go with that. Great. Okay. You got a 12. About probably 45 minutes in, so not quite to the end of your short rest. Pip, you do spot something. You've been seeing these kind of like wisps of like little almost like smoke or something like at the tops of all these towers. And you start to notice that something in the sky kind of starts to take on a little more definition and is approaching towards the tower. It kind of looks like a little wisp, and then as it's getting closer, you can start to make out there are individual shapes within this, and you realize that there is a cluster of flying creatures that are moving straight towards the group of vehicles from the tower.
I call over to Calliope and Kadam, like, we've got company. We've got some, what do you call them? Bogies flying in, I guess.
Do you think we have 15 minutes?
They're moving pretty quick.
I'd say eat faster.
Okay, let's wrap up and start moving in, and maybe we're probably faster. We can just like do wheelies around the whole place. They can't catch us.
Do we have nets still? Do we have nets? Can we just use them to fly up?
I do have nets. Do you have nets? But let's get going. Let's get going.
Okay, so you're gonna fire up the vehicles, and Kadam, you're still gonna sit in the demon grinder and continue to try to attune to this thing. Okay. All right. So Calliope, you're gonna have to run over to Persistence or Yonder or Valor, if you prefer one of them.
Yeah, Calliope will take Persistence. Sure.
Okay. So Calliope,
Sir Dummy's in the demon grinder though.
Okay, so Sir Dummy stays in the demon grinder, sat down there. You pop out, start sprinting across the salt flats and hop into Persistence. As you look over, jumping into Persistence and firing up the engine, you see that wisp is approaching, and there are some shapes like of these flying creatures coming in your direction. Both vehicles fire up and you start to peel out and go away from the tower.
I think let's do some SAT problem solving, where I want to be perpendicular to them, but like towards the tower.
So you want to get closer to the tower, but be avoiding that group.
Yes,
okay, cool.
Correct.
Make an intelligence roll for me.
To do SATs.
I don't know, just to calculate this, like. But you know what? Honestly, no. Actually, you don't need to make this roll because your vehicles are so much faster than these flying creatures that you can easily do this.
I want to make a roll anyway.
Okay, you can make an intelligence roll for me.
13.
13. Okay, yeah. I'm realizing this doesn't really require a roll because your vehicles are so much faster than these things that if you start to feel like they're getting too close, you start to peel away. So Kadam, you for sure can finish your attunement as the 15 minutes pass. However, you see that now that there's 8 of these little flying creatures, and 4 of them split off and start going back towards the tower, and the other 4 are trying to just kind of more or less keep an eye on you. And Calliope, as you start going a bit closer to the tower, let's see. Yeah, I'm going to say you do start to see more details emerging. We'll say you're kind of at an angle where you can sort of see 2 of the entrances, those big main entrances that you're starting to kind of see detail. And you can vaguely make out what looks like just, again, everything, the scale of this is awe-inspiring how large everything is. But there are these large engravings, like murals, on the front of each entrance, and you can just barely see 2 of the entrances. You're kind of going at an angle. It's hard to make out the details of what exactly these engravings are, so if you and Pip, since you're both driving, want to make perception rolls for me and see if you can make out any of the details of these entrances.
Yeah, for sure.
Guidance.
Oh,
go ahead and add a d4, Pip.
Okay. Well, that's a 27.
Ooh.
I only got an at 20 for 26.
You got a nat 20? My
Yeah.
God. Wow, you both rolled crazy high. 27, 26. Okay. Absolutely. So I'm going to say, quick question for you, Calliope. We'll just say, based on the map we're looking at here, that you are kind of roughly where the token is.
Mm-hmm.
Which way did you go? Did you go left or did you go right?
I went left.
Left. Okay, great. So in that case, we'll say that, you're kind of over on this side, and you can kind of make out these, this one and this one. So, you got a nat 20 and you got a 27. So you both are able to start to make out the details of these engravings that are on the front of these entrances. You see, so the one to the south, the kind of closest one, you can see that what looks to be sort of an angelic but devilish looking figure, which you suspect is Zariel, this, bald, large wings figure that is sort of extending their arms out, and there is a ball of what looks to be light held between their hands, and all below them are swaths and swaths and swaths of mortals that are looking up in reverence towards this massive figure. The next entrance, as you're continuing to go north, so this entrance here, you start to make out what looks to be the same angelic figure, sort of in profile, leaning down and placing a hand on the forehead of a mortal. And this mortal is being wreathed in flame. And you can see sort of a line of mortals stretching out behind that one, all looking in awe towards this moment. So that's all you make out from those two entrances as you're kind of cutting around in the side of this structure. With a nat 20 Calliope, you can also see there are some figures starting to move about on the steps of these entrances. You see one individual that for each entrance, they both seem to have the same sort of contingent of guards. There's one individual that looks to be rather large, probably a good 10-foot tall, some sort of devil. You can tell they have some large wings. And they're sort of standing proudly in the center, up towards the main entryway, where you can make out there might be some sort of double doors, like a large arch with some big double doors at the top of the steps. And sort of phalanxing out in front of this large individual looks to be 6 other individuals that are kind of like forming up. And just kind of keeping an eye on the 2 vehicles that are starting to skirt around the side of this building. Also with a nat 20, you can clearly now figure out and tell that those wisps are indeed flying creatures. More specifically, they probably are imps because they're so tiny, like they're little tiny specks that are just like flitting about high up amongst the columns. And they all look to be exiting and entering from some sort of little like ports way at the top of each column. So each column has little ports where these imps are flying in and out of them. So, there's like, I guess if you go by section, there's like 9 of these columns. Each one of those has imps flying in and out. You can also tell there are imps flying in and out of the tops of the main central columns as well. Final thing that you note is that there are what appear to be like battlements and ramparts built into the sides of all the columns. And you can barely make out like movement on those ramparts, but it's hard to kind of tell exactly what is going on up there. Yeah, I'll say in order to get all that, you're probably, like you wanted to get closer. You clearly got made by these things flying by you. So I'm going to say you're probably like a mile away from this thing at this point to get all those details. So, yeah.
And I think I just kind of want to do a loop around the whole thing, just to do some sightseeing.
Okay.
I'll send a message to the other card to check in with y'all about it. But
okay.
I think things might let us know kind of like if they're ordered in like Zariel's story, perhaps, then the first one might be the first column, right?
Well, why don't we each? Do you want to split up and just meet at the other end?
Oh, brilliant! Good job, Pip.
Also, how do you like the idea that we have been sent here by Gideon Lightward to ensure that his contract is filed appropriately?
Yes, I like that. I like that a lot.
Great.
Okay. So you are going to split up. Okay, so you split up and start going in opposite directions around the tower.
Nothing bad can happen in this time, right?
How
Split
are
the party.
How are we going to resolve this? So, okay. I think with these vehicles, yes, you can indeed, get visual on all the different entry points. However, some things are going to happen as you're doing this, because now you are very visible and you are 2 vehicles that are clearly circling this massive structure. So
I guess we could stop and ask for directions instead.
So I think this is what we'll do. I'm going to first describe the next 2 entryways that you see as you start skirting around this, and then I'm going to describe what the tower is doing in response. So you see the little cloud of flying creatures that have been tailing you. They split further into groups of 2, and they try to kind of like, keep an eye on the 2 of you as they're doing their best to follow. Just for my own sake, who's going to continue going north and who's going to go to the east, according to this map?
I will take Sir Dummy and head north.
North. Okay, so Calliope, you in persistence. So you're gonna do you do a quick transfer of Sir Dummy. Those little flying figures, they get a little bit closer, but they're too slow for you. You're able to quickly transfer everything and then take off. The flying group splits up and you start to circle around. Before you can even get to the 2 entrances, because of that little bit of time you had to stop and do that transfer, there is suddenly a very loud and audible blast of sound that emanates from the tower. A familiar sound. It's very similar to the sound that the flying fortresses seem to make, as you hear a loud blasting off, low and deep, rumbling across the landscape.
Should we just go for it? Should we just go for it? Maybe we should just.
As Pip and Kadam are going off to the east, that's when, Kadam, you spot far off on the horizon a slender sword-like shape start to turn in the direction of the tower. But you are driving around to meet up with your companion Calliope on the other side, and you catch sight of the next entrance as you're passing by it. This one, you can see...
Shouldn't dilly-dallied.
Oh, shoot. I actually messed up the order. That's okay. We're just gonna... Ooh. Okay. I did slightly mess up the order of the descriptions, so I'm gonna do a little bit of retcon here. So, the one that the second one that you all saw that was here, that one had a different description. The one that Kadam and Pip are going by right now, that one shows Zariel touching the mortal's head, and they're wreathed in flame.
And that's the southeast one?
Yeah, this one down here.
Great.
So that one had that one. This one, the one you did see, that one actually shows Zariel is sort of like floating there with hands outstretched, sort of in kind of a, powerful, like wizard controlling magic sort of thing. Her hands are outstretched, and between her hands, it looks to be a molten planet that is spinning and swirling and forming, like she is creating a world. So that is the one that's here. But you start to circle around. Calliope, you get to the next one up here, and you see that Zariel is holding her right hand up in sort of a tabletop, kind of like this, to her side. So, imagine like old religious art where they're kind of, doing like the little symbols or stuff. She's kind of doing that, right? And there is, before her, you can see what looks to be, again, you can barely make out kind of like the shape of some sort of mortal that is halfway transforming into a pit fiend. So this mortal is kind of like this, and you can see half of them is becoming a pit fiend with large wings and horns and devilish features. But you continue driving around, I'm assuming, to go and meet up on the other side.
Yeah, it's just as fast either way now.
So driving. You're starting to see more little shapes, clouds starting to erupt out the tops of the tower. Kadam and Pip, that fortress is a ways off, so it's not going to be here instantly, but it is clearly moving in this direction. You come around to this side, Pip and Kadam, and you see that Zariel is presenting a scroll, and before her are again, like swaths of mortals, and they all look to be like scribes that are just eagerly jotting down this information that she is presenting. Calliope, you reach the northern side, and that mural you can see Zariel, arms stretched out, and there are mountains of gold surrounding her, with mortals sort of strewn about within the gold. You see what look to be mortals becoming kings and emperors, and just endless wealth all spread out before her. At this point, Calliope, as you're coming around that side of the building, is when you start to see the little shape of persistence moving in your direction. You also do, in fact, now see that sliver of the dark sword-like shape moving quickly on the horizon towards the tower. As there is another loud, low bellow. And then from, in response almost a few moments later, you hear distantly coming from the flying fortress the same sort of low bellowing tone rumbling across the landscape. But you see your companion ahead of you as you both are barreling towards each other, quickly getting within range to, use whatever communication spells you have to talk.
We need to present ourselves.
Yep.
Which one?
How do we do that? Yes. We just, we need to go to a tower and just knock on it?
I assume these are all gifts that Zoriel gives people. What did she give to Thavius?
I mean, the companion. I think it's just the first one. Ball of light held between her hands, south.
God damn it.
Sure, let's do that one.
Okay, I'm gonna. What's our big platinum? I'm gonna ask Bahamut. What he thinks about it.
Oh.
Okay. You're gonna use the boon that you got?
Yeah. Let me just check in with God. You know.
I think so. If I believe, what did I say? You get to cast it's like a certain spell where you have to make a save or something before you.
Commune?
Say anything about a save. You just said it might be a little spacey to use.
Right. Does it say what spell that you use or no?
Once a day, direct contact with Bahamut. A series of questions. Yes, no.
Okay. Let me. I must have written it
probably
down.
Commune.
Yeah, I must have written it down on my side. No, it is not. It's not commune. It's a little different than that. Here it is. Contact other plane. Okay. So. You do need to make a saving throw, but let me pull it up. All right. Contact other plane. You need to make an intelligence saving throw. So yeah, go ahead and make an intelligence save for me.
Can I get resistance or something? Just
an intelligence save.
No, resistance from Kadam.
Well, Kadam's
I
in the
don't
other
have
is in
resistance.
the other vehicle.
I see. Okay. That's fine. I get plus 11 to these. This is fine. It's gonna be okay. 30, no problem.
Okay. As you start to tap into this, you quickly start to feel the world around you like fading as you were being pulled away. Thankfully, you have Big Dummy in the vehicle with you, because what we see is Calliope suddenly just kind of go catatonic, and Big Dummy has to like reach over and grab onto the wheel and like guide the vehicle.
That's the salt flats. It's fine. There's nothing to run into.
Calliope, So, let me see. So you get to ask up to 5 questions. Okay. Ask when the spell ends. Okay, so DM answers yes, no, maybe, never, irrelevant, or unclear. So something to that effect. Okay. Yeah.
You think my series of questions is going to be like, is it this one? 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 Great. That was 5 of them. No for all of them means it's the last one.
Well, okay, so this is great because what I think is kind of hilarious about this is that Calliope is going to be pulled into this like truly kind of spiritual experience of this incredible like vision, right? So we like see Calliope. I don't know what do you imagine like kind of Calliope's form looks like as this is as she is being pulled into this other plane? Is it just like light? Is it something else? Is it just her?
I'm stuck on this idea of like basically like at Burning Man a lot of the time people like drive their art cars around. They're like Mad Max art cars through the like salt plains, and it doesn't matter, and they'll like be high off their minds because
there's nothing around. Exactly.
She just like goes back like in her seat, like mouth open, like I think like classic like light spills out.
Yeah.
Like her like no, I think not her mouth, but like the facial tattoos.
Oh yeah, totally.
Oh yeah.
All the tattoos light up. Yeah, exactly. So like from all y'all's perspective, just for a moment, you swear you see like, especially Kadam, you like think you're seeing like kind of light shimmering out of persistence, which is a little odd. And Calliope, you find yourself being pulled into a darkened space, which then very quickly begins to brighten into shimmering light. And you find yourself in this impossibly large space of like swirling, sparkling dust, like you're within a nebula of platinum. And you get a sense of something there, something watching you, something very much aware of you. And you swear you can kind of get a sense of something moving within this swirling nebula that is just impossibly large, but it's hard to determine what the shape is. Your brain quickly starts assigning patterns like, oh, that's probably a wing, but then you kind of think about it, it's like, I don't know if that was a wing.
And I think Calliope in this form just looks like a arc of plasma and lightning.
Cool.
Like within a nebula, or like lightning inside of a storm cloud, not lightning that hits the ground.
Yeah.
But just like this like snake, this like almost a like long dragon herself.
So what are your questions as you're having this incredible vision?
We are seeking the contract between Zariel and Davius Creed that bound the souls of all those in Elturel into the companion. In the library in Avernus, we are determining which of the 6 sections to head into to find the 9th column, where this contract is located. The southernmost one has a huge mural of Zariel with a ball of light held between her hands, with lots of mortals looking up at her. Do you know if this is the section that has the 9th column that we're looking for? Is this the section? Not do you know if this is the section?
Okay. The nebula seems to swirl in front of you and coalesce and compress, and in an instant you suddenly watch as a star is born, just of bright light and warmth washes over you. In this form, you seem to be able to withstand this incredible moment. But you get this warmth and blast of light as that question is asked.
Oh, that's it? That's the answer?
I could, give you yes, no, maybe, irrelevant, all that, but I think it's more fun to give you this cryptic shit, and you have to decide whether it's yes
like
or
sound
no.
so vague all the time, talking to gods. This is imprecise. So south.
So a star is born, and there's a lot of warmth and light.
A star is born. Okay, I'm just gonna ask you a second one just to calibrate. I think I know what the answer is gonna be. In the southwest corner, same situation. Vazarl with her hands outstretched, controlling magic, a multi-planet forming. Is the ninth column that we seek in this one. Just...
The star collapses in on itself and darkens, and you find yourself in cold and darkness.
Cold and darkness. Got it. Okay. Cool. 3 questions left. I should think bigger. I think actually might be good.
What was the question?
No, I'm just
Oh.
like, do I want to know anything else? Like, this is fine. I'll call you tomorrow if I need anything else.
I think you can just end the spell if you want.
I'm trying to
I
think
think
of like
you can
any...
only do this once per day, right? I believe I said. Yeah, once per day. Okay.
I'm trying to think of like any other questions that Calliope would want to ask.
You got 3 more.
Olive is not as smart as Calliope. Give me a second. I know we're under time pressure.
It's okay. We've never done this before, but I've seen other people do this for RPGs. They'll just roll like an int check for your character if you want me to like give you a hint or something. But
oh, can I do that? Yeah, sure. I'd roll it.
We've never done it before, but I don't know. Like the argument I've seen is that you're playing a character that's supposed to be hyper intelligent and is very likely going to like, I don't know,
I don't have to
smarter
lift
than
weights
you.
Down a door.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know, if you want to, we could do that.
Yeah, sure.
I can give you a little nudge in like
Great. That's a 21.
21. I mean, you know where the contract is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
right.
You know that you have the chains severed,
Mm-hmm.
but getting Elturel back out of Avernus isn't really determined yet. Like you haven't really officially determined how that's going to work or how you're going to do that. So maybe something like that, you know. You also, another thing,
Mm-hmm.
you don't fully know how you're going to destroy the contract because infernal contracts tend to have very specific ways of how to destroy them. So
but that's all like yes no questions.
I know.
I'm
just
have means currently to destroy the contract once we have it in hand.
I mean, that could be a question.
I could ask. I want to. Okay, so out of character, I want to like figure out if Claire's right or I'm right about the address. But Calliope knows that she's right.
Yes,
So
yes,
Calliope
absolutely.
would not ask.
Yes.
God, but if he says no, then what? Then like we give up? We're not going to do that. If he says yes, that doesn't help.
May I
Is there still...
make a suggestion?
Yeah, please.
Wording it something like, do we have it currently within our power to raise Elturel back to the material plane?
Yeah, but like if he says yes, what are we going to do with that? If he says no,
Well, then we know that we don't need any more resources.
Yeah, I guess.
We go poke the companion with the spear or something. I don't know.
Okay, sure. Hey, if in case you know how to destroy the companion, do we currently have it within our means, like on one of my little squad's persons to
destroy the companion or to raise Elturel?
Raise up Elturel?
Which one?
Let's go destroy the companion.
Okay. There is another burst of light as another star far off in the distance is born, and a swath of light and warmth washes over you.
Great. That's good to know.
Okay, you got 2 more.
Can we currently destroy the companion? That's a yes. Pip, do you have any ideas?
Is Ariel single?
Pip in my head. Get out of here. This ain't your brain.
Calliope, you're kind of driving real close to one of the pillars. You should move.
I think Calliope's like, yeah, we have all the information we need, but then like this like pain twinges her heart.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she asks like, are we too late? Can we do this?
The star darkens once again, and there is cold that washes over you. But there is a swirling of like nebula dust that starts to swirl around you, sort of percolating. You can feel like the energy and potential of this dust around you.
Okay, that's a maybe then. That's a maybe. Right. Okay. Nice talking.
The massive presence and shape seems to kind of move and undulate all around you, and you start to feel yourself pulling away from this nebula, and with a rush of movement and almost a sense of your stomach dropping out, everything goes to dark, and then you are pulled back into the bright white salt flats around you. The screaming sound of the infernal engine roaring in your ears, and
it's the South One! It's the South One messaging! All speed ahead!
As you turn and
could have just asked in the first place.
Straight from the southern entrance, the flying fortress getting ever closer, and that is where we're going to end tonight's session.
We mismanaged that so bad. We could have really just gone straight there.
Oh, it was great. It was great. Well, thank you, everybody. Yeah, Lord Bahamut has become a celestial 8-ball. Well, thanks, everybody. This was fun, and we will see you all next week to see what happens here at the Infernal Archive. Thanks for tuning in. The maps were something I spent creating on our iPad. I was painting and drawing those for like a couple days, so I was really excited to share them.
Thank you so much, Nathan.
They are very pretty.
And hopefully this, I'm curious to see what happens. This is all kind of homebrew stuff, so we'll see what happens. All right. Thanks, y'all. Have a lovely evening.
Good night.
Oh, where's my thing? Okay, bye.